So I literally just got through having an argument, if you will, on YouTube with just in the comment section, nothing too crazy, but it just really brought to light something that I've become more and more aware of, and something that I want to share with you all, both men and women out there. And that is that feminism doesn't always have the goal of total equality in mind, and you'll kind of understand more about this as I go into the argument here. And maybe if I have time, I'll actually copy and paste and take screenshots of all the comments so you guys know that I'm not making this up. But in the meantime, let me just say what happened. So basically, I've obviously made a video about the Zerlina or Maxwell uh, situation where she's saying that men need to be taught not to rape. And this statement, I basically had called out and was saying that, the only issue I have with Zerlina's argument is that it shouldn't only be men who are taught not to rape, women also rape. And, in order to protect those victims, not only males, but also females who are often victims in lesbian rape situations that do happen. I was reading statistics somewhere, and I'll try to find the source, but it was saying something about one in three lesbians have experienced rape from a woman. So, interesting enough, there was this seemingly feminist. I didn't outright say they were feminists, but some of their arguments involved language involving men being in power and things like this, and she actually came against me and said, well, males are responsible for 99% of the rapes that happen. And I think this fact has been verified by government sources, by the US Bureau. However, the document that I saw that statistic was based on was from 1997, I believe. I'm not sure what the most updated statistic was, but also it seems that there's been pretty much little to no research regarding woman on woman rape. That's still something that's uh, being looked into a bit more freshly. It's not There's not as much research as the opposite, the male and female thing happening. But anyway, so she's saying, she's basically like, yeah, well, men do most of the rape. And I'm like, well, I agree. And, it's not even a matter of agreeing. It's just a fact that men do rape more than women do. But that doesn't mean that we should solely, you know, have men have to be subjected to teachings against rape. If that's going to happen, we should also teach women, because there are victims who are female who also get raped by females. And if we don't teach females not to rape, then we're allowing those victims to continue to suffer. And basically, her response was, well, that doesn't change the fact that the majority is men that's doing it, and yada yada yada. And I'm like, wow, like you can't even you're these feminist blinders that are on you can't even won't even allow you to admit that females also rape, and females specifically also rape females, and that there are female victims out there. And I'm just like, as a female, I would expect you to sympathize with that, but apparently she doesn't. And this is one of the fundamental flaws of feminism. And you got to remember, feminism was created. I got to do my research on this. I'm not going to act like I'm a feminist, uh, like I know everything about it. But it, it basically states that all females are just victims within this world where men are in power and men are oppressing all the women, and yada yada yada. Now, not to say that there's not oppression of women from men happening, but the problem is, there are situations where women are often the oppressors. How often these days do we see stories about young 13, 14, 15, younger than that, young boys being, molested and being seduced and having sex with female teachers who are 30, 40 years old, married with kids, and it's just like, where is the feminist uproar about that? And again, I tell you, it's the reason you won't see a lot of feminists complaining about this kind of stuff is because they have this faulty view that all women are just victims. And the fact of the matter is, and what we see continually is that that is not the case. There are female perpetrators, and feminists seek to solely focus on the acts and crimes of men against women, and then totally inconveniently try to either not speak on or just simply downplay a lot of the same exact acts that women commit to men. And when it comes to, men being in power, maybe, in the grand scheme of things, men are still in power in certain higher positions, but I know where I work. I have a lot of female executives, and my one of my direct bosses is a female executive. And there's things that I have to be subjected to just because I'm a male and she's a female. For example, there's been times where I've been asked to stop what I was doing, like actually my work, and I was asked to help decorate cookies before, for some presentation that somebody had to do. Uh, I I personally just think that's not the most valuable way that I should be spending my time at work. But there's been things like that where it's like a lot of these girly things that had nothing to do with work. I had to kind of be subjected to because my boss was female, and even though I do have the right to speak out against it. I mean, let's be real. If I do that, then am I going to be more or less likely to be promoted? So female oppression of males does exist, and like I said to this person I was arguing with, I told her I agree with you in that men commit the majority of the rapes. I agree with you, in that sense, but you have to also accept responsibility for the females that do it, and they also should be subjected to this being taught not to rape. Now, personally, I feel like we don't need to really have classes to teach people not to rape. I think the majority of people know that it's pretty bad to drug somebody up, drag them to your house, rip their clothes off while they're unconscious, and basically have sex with them while they're not even moving and barely breathing. I think most people know that's probably wrong. Um, but just playing devil's advocate for Zerlina Maxwell's solution to the problem of just teaching men not to rape. Yes, women also rape, and women should also be taught because that's true equality. Because if you think about it, if there are victims out there who are female, who are being raped by females, uh, who are we to just basically overlook and ignore their oppression and their suffering? I mean, if feminists are about real equality, they would just be as equally adamant that females stop raping. And again, I know females are not the majority, but they still do it. Okay. Um, so again, when you hear a lot of this feminist stuff that comes up, just kind of be careful to kind of really see it if their argument is also including if they're attacking men, which they likely are they also including the women who also do the same things? And oftentimes you'll find that they are not because their sole goal is not total equality. Their sole goal is to basically destroy the quote unquote patriarchy or the male power oppression, which I find it kind of funny because basically we're not going to get to a point where unless government really steps in and really basically regulates every aspect of our lives, we're not going to get to a point where you know the power, like, where there's going to be exactly 50% women and exactly 50% males in the power structure. But it just seems like they're so hell-bent on destroying the patriarchy or what have it. And my question is, what do they want to replace it with? Are they just saying, I mean, do they really want 50% men and 50% women? And I think that they don't, but that's just my I mean, I think if they had it their way, they would have a majority of women. But that's just me personally, so I can't put that on all of them. I could be totally wrong, but I know in this case, in the argument that I just had, I was right. I'm basically my stance protects everybody, all victims. And I even asked the person that I was like, "Don't you care about all victims, not just some victims?" And this person could not bring themselves to agree with me. Um, and again, it's just comes to those blinders from the whole feminist idea that women are only victims in this world and that men are the oppressors. I just think there's a lot of hypocrisy within feminism. I know I was recently watching another, it might have been CNN, but there was a female that I believe was a feminist and a man, and they were talking about briefly about women being independent. And this woman was saying that women don't need men, they're totally independent, they can do things on their own. And the male debater kind of pointed out that, well, if that's true and women are independent, then why do you personally accept alimony from your ex-husband? Because this female at the time actually was receiving alimony, and her response was, well, basically she didn't really have a response. She was pretty flabbergasted and said something about, well, she has kids, blah blah blah. But the fact is, child support and alimony or spousal support are two completely different things. Child support is for the children to be taken care of, but spousal support is just paid to your spouse. And it's based upon whoever has the most income, or it should be, which is oftentimes males. But it's funny because there was another recent news story where women were upset because, as women have been moving up the ladder and making more money, there are women who are getting divorced and often having to pay alimony to the man. Now, isn't it funny that it's a news story and it's such a sensation, and these women are all upset that they have to pay alimony to their male partners when all of these years it's just been expected for males to pay females. Um, yeah, maybe back in the day when women weren't allowed in the workplace, that may have had a function, but these days women are independent. They're able to get master's degrees. They're able to go in pretty much whatever field they'd like. And they are able to make enough money to support themselves. So I just find there's just a lot of hypocrisy to me. But you tell me what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think the other person was right? Let me know what your comments are. Have you experienced similar, situations? I would definitely like to hear it, but just let me know what you think in the comments below. And I hopefully, I don't want to be one of those crazy, MRA extreme like woman haters or anything like that. But I gotta point out the truth, and I gotta, I like to get to the facts and be based in reality. You know what I'm saying? So until next time, stay up. Peace.